Plato is the first philosopher who actively searches for the unity of the whole and its parts. Yet, Plato's philosophical oeuvre is often presented chopped up or piecemeal. Rarely do we see the whole that unifies his philosophy. Now, what do I mean by this? Plato the mythmaker is rarely or never brought into dialogue with Plato the logician. Have you ever even heard of Plato as a mythmaker? Plato the metaphysician is rarely brought into play with Plato the historian. And just here, by these two examples, we can see that there's always a double movement in Plato, going upwards and downwards at the same time. In my Plato course on Plato's Politeia, we will bring Plato's thought together so that you can see the holistic Plato. When you hear the name Plato, you might immediately associate his thought with Platonism. Platonism, to put it simply, is the two-world paradigm. There is the world of eternal forms up there somewhere, like a ghost-like metaphysics, and there is the world of flux down here, of ephemeral appearances. Yet Plato is not a Platonist. There are tendencies in his body of work that might suggest such a paradigm. Yet the story is vastly more difficult and bewildering than such a simple representational model of the two worlds suggests. We will discuss what exactly it is that Plato means by eidos, the so-called form, at my Plato course in which you can now enroll. We will also, of course, discuss the limitation of Plato's thought in this regard. As a hint, just for now, note the role of language in this regard, which will come fully into its philosophical bloom only with figures like Wilhelm von Humboldt, Hegel, and Martin Heidegger. It was Nietzsche's basic mistake, by the way, to take Plato to be a 19th century German Platonist. It was Heidegger's error to follow Nietzsche for too long in this regard. Today, very often we find that Plotinus' Neoplatonic interpretation of Plato is the most prevalent. Here we find a hyper-metaphysical, pseudo-mystical recasting of Platonism, and a highly reductive one at that. Plotinus reifies the One into a monistic substance from which the world supposedly emanates. This is a reductive interpretation of the relationship of the One and the Many. So I hope that you will join me when we attempt not to reduce Plato, but instead look at the holistic Plato, where we bring together Plato the mythmaker with Plato the logician or dialectician, together with Plato the metaphysician and Plato the historian. Thank you very much.